G'day guys, I'm Matt Brand, and this is the 2021 Suzuki Jimny. Today I am driving and reviewing one of my favorite cars of all time. And yes, you can drift a Suzuki Jimny. The Suzuki Jimny just gets so much right. It has really cool styling, a really rugged interior, some of the best off-road credentials you can get under, God, 60,000 Australian dollars. And despite popular opinion, it drives pretty decently. And in today's review, we're gonna talk about all of that. Oh, I'm gonna tip. Now, if you are new around here, I would love it if you went down there and hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you around the channel, and I release an awesome new car review like this every single week. And while you're down there, I would love it if you could hit that like button because it really helps small content creators like me. I've also left timestamps over there if you do want to click ahead, or go down into the description below, or click the YouTube chapters if you're on your phone. But anyway, let's get straight into the review. First of all, what isn't there to love about the Suzuki Jimny, especially in this kinetic yellow paint and black bluish roof, as Suzuki calls it? The grille is so meaty and bold, which is hilarious on what is a tiny car, but I love it. It's so characterful. Flanking the grille are the headlights, and they are very practical. They're LED projector headlights, so they're nice and bright, low beam, high beam. Good job. You also get small turning signals up in the grille, and they look pretty cool too, admittedly. Down the bottom is a big, beefy bumper with an integrated kind of skid plate, and it looks the part. You got some fog lights within there too, and that's about it. It's such simple yet effective design, so massive props to the Suzuki design team. You have done an amazing job. Of course, we're not done. Let's move on to the side. And the side is probably my favorite angle. Look how small it is. It is only 3.6 meters long. Also, look how steeply raked the windshield is. This is a very boxy car. It effectively is just a giant square. Kind of looks like a mini Mercedes G-Wagon. I like that. The 15-inch wheels, which sound small, look massive compared to the side. Of course, the tire tread does help with that, but still, they look pretty big. And I like the design too. It's a very premium look. You have big flared wheel arches. And what's new with this 2021 Suzuki Jimny is the folding mirrors. Yes, you heard me right. You now get folding mirrors. And that's the only change. Still pretty cool. Then you have the rear, which is very basic and utilitarian. Taking up most of the rear is a full-size spare wheel. The lights down the bottom, they do look quite basic. I'm not gonna lie. Certainly my least favorite design aspect of the Suzuki Jimny. But they serve a purpose, so I'm not gonna complain too much. And that's about it, apart from the Suzuki badges. Yeah, I love it. Special mention as well to how the boot opens in the Jimny. It gives you a giant square opening. It's almost like you remove the entirety of the back. I think it is so cool. Fantastic design. Wow. Overall, I genuinely believe the Suzuki Jimny is one of the best looking cars on the road today. There is nothing subjective about it. Objectively, it is a very good looking car. And I want one bad. I want one real bad. Now, usually I would ask you to go down to the comment section and vote what you think looks better, the Jimny or its competitor, but the Jimny doesn't have a competitor, which is probably why it's sold out between 12 to 18 months in advance. So instead, I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you love or hate about the way the Suzuki Jimny looks? I've left a little thread in the comments section below, and in there I've put what I think, so go down and let me know, do you agree, do you disagree? Because it's not necessarily perfect in its design. Anyway, now I want to move on to the interior, and I want to start with the overall look, layout, and feel, after I give it a bit of a sauce to get it up to speed. It doesn't like getting to speed, I'll tell you what. The Suzuki Jimny has just about as much character on the interior as it does on the exterior. It is clearly a military and retro-inspired interior at that. Excuse me here while I give it a bit of the old sauce. Oh my God. My God. Getting bounced around a bit. Even though it is a sea of hard black plastics, this is the first application I will ever say it's okay, because you want hard-wearing, durable materials, and I think the Jimny delivers in that in spades. Some really cool features to mention are the grab handle on the passenger side. I think that's really cool, and it is a soft hard plastic. I don't know how else to describe that. The gauges as well, very cool, very rectangular. They kind of look like they're straight out of what the 80s thought the future would look like. Boy, did the people of the 80s have no idea. Hashtag COVID-19, am I right? My God, it wobbles around the road so much. I also love the exposed screws here on the dash and that grab handle, and also the door grab handle. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's just a really cool place to sit. In terms of ergonomics and practicality, well, the steering wheel is tilting, but it isn't telescoping, so you can't have reach adjust. I don't really like that. The seats are adjusting, of course, but manually. Again, I'm not really surprised by that. I did wish it had lumbar support though, because you don't get that, and we'll get into the seats in a moment. In terms of I/O, you do get a USB port and you get a 12-volt socket. Storage spaces are a bit far and few between, but it's actually all right. You get small door pockets. Again, they're okay. The glove box is relatively small, but you can fit enough things within there. You have this random little pocket here, which I wouldn't put anything there. It would fly straight into your face under any sort of moderate braking. You also have a storage place for your phone. You don't have a center armrest, which is a bit of a shame, though you can aftermarket that if you want to. And you get a bit of storage here. You get a cup holder, you get two cup holders. And that's about it. You also get a little storage area just in front of that for like your wallet or something small. You also get big switches down the bottom, which are very easy to touch when you are off-roading, like your window switches. I like that. Yeah, it's not the best situation in here, but it's not the worst either. I sincerely hope you guys can hear me right now. It is quite loud in here. Big shout out to visibility though. I can see everywhere. These mirrors are ginormous. It's like I'm in a glass cabin right now. It's that good. Talking about one of my least favorite aspects are these seats. They are literally slabs of foam and then you cover them in cloth. That's what you get with these Suzuki Jimny seats. They're okay, but they aren't very supportive, I'll be totally honest with you. As I said, you don't get lumbar support. It is just super, super utilitarian. They're great for cleaning easily, and that's probably it. I do like their design though. That kind of harps back to the 90s. So you have a multi-era interior within here. Did that just rhyme? I think it did. Matt, insert clapping for my ride. Well done to me. I am getting pushed by wind like no tomorrow. The steering wheel is the nicest thing in the interior. It is a leather wrapped steering wheel, very comfortable to hold in the hands. And really the steering wheel is probably the thing you want to get right most in a car, because it is what you just touch most often. It's also very functional too. On the left hand side you have your media controls, and you've also got your digital instrument display controls. On the right hand side you have your cruise controls. By the way, it is just standard cruise control with a limiter as well if you want it. There's no adaptive cruise control. And then behind the steering wheel are the phone controls, which takes a second to get used to, and I like them there. While I'm here, I might as well talk about safety. You do get a 3-star NCAP safety rating, which is not the best, it's not the worst either. You do get autonomous emergency braking, you get lane departure warning, which is pretty good to have, but otherwise that's pretty much it. Still better to have some things than none. Moving on to the instrument cluster, such a cool look. On the left hand side you have a nice big bright and orange tachometer, and then on the right hand side you have a nice big bright orange speedometer. In the center is a pretty small digital display, and it doesn't show very much information. For example, you don't get a digital speed readout, which is a bit of a shame. It's very easy to implement, but it does have enough information within it, and the analog gauges are still plenty good enough. Then there is the 7-inch infotainment display, which is pretty good. It's surprisingly functional because it comes with navigation. You have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, of course. You don't get digital radio, but I wouldn't expect it at this price range. We will be getting into price at the end. And it is responsive enough to the touch. Yeah, it's a little bit slow. The graphics are a little bit on the low resolution side, but truly very little complaints with it. People never talk about this, but the speakers are relatively average in the Jimny. They'll do the job just fine, and thankfully it's a really easy thing to swap out if you don't like them. Oh my God! Then you have the air conditioning controls, which are absolutely fantastic because they're just so easy to use, especially when you're off-roading. You got big buttons to control it. I like it. Moving on to the rear seats, and it's an okay affair back there. You have to remember that the Jimny is a very small car, so the rear seats are more like the third seats you'd find on most big off-roaders. You get a bench seat and it's pretty thin foam, but I still fit behind myself just at 5'11". I have plenty of headroom thanks to the boxy design of the Jimny. And although it lacks any sort of amenities, it's actually a pretty cool place to sit. It gives very nice vibes back there. Apologies for the millennial terms. In terms of boot space, you have 85 litres with the rear seats up, i.e. nothing. Almost no space back there. You might be able to fit 2 or 3 backpacks there if you're lucky. However, put the rear seats down, you get 377 litres of boot space, which tells half the story because that's only to the base of the windows. You've got like 800 and something if you really want to stock this thing up. You have so much room with those seats down that really this is the ideal car for a couple or 2 mates who want to go off into the wilderness with each other. That's the use case. Hey, you never know, they might make a movie about it. Of course, what you want to know is how does the Suzuki Jimny how does the Suzuki Jimny drive? Well, before we get into on-road, I want to talk about off-road. So let's switch over to Farm Matt. Hey everyone, I'm Farm Matt. It's good to meet you. What makes the Jimny so special is its off-road capabilities. It gives much bigger, more expensive off-roaders a true run for their money. So here's some of the things that makes it special. For one, it has a body-on-frame chassis, which means it has 2 steel beams, the body goes on top, and it gives a much more rigid structure for off-roading. It does add a bit to the weight and it makes it a little bit unruly on roads, as we'll get to soon, but it does help with off-roading. And then both the front and rear both have rigid axles, and what that means is that at all times, one wheel will be on the ground, unless of course you flip the damn thing, but something tells me you probably won't. Another thing is it has low range gearing, and what that means is that you can be in the optimal power and torque band while still being in a low gear. And again, these are features you would see, well, on much more expensive off-roaders, not on a Suzuki Jimny. Also fantastic are the angles that this Suzuki Jimny can get to. It has a fantastic approach, ramp, breakover, and departure angles, all of which are just extremely good. They are 37 degrees, 28 degrees, and 49 degrees respectively. So you can get the Jimny into some stupid angles. Another great feature, it has Suzuki's all grip system, and that means it can brake each wheel individually, and you can go down a hill with hill descent control pretty slowly at 5 kilometers an hour. So I'll put that on now, release the brake, and it is holding me at a pretty steady 5 kilometers an hour. Oh, it's a little bit unnerving. Or you can see the angles this thing can get to. It is just such a capable off-roader. And that is why you buy a Suzuki Jimny, because it is out of the factory, straight from the dealership, a car you can go pretty serious off-roading in. So yes, the Suzuki Jimny is a pretty serious off-roader. Anyway, back to you, fatty Matty. Haha. On-road, the Suzuki Jimny is an entirely different beast. In terms of how it drives, it's probably its weakest point. Not that I care. Powering the mighty Jimny is a less than mighty 1.5 litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder petrol engine. And that engine pumps out 75 kilowatt of power and 130 Newton meters of torque. Believe me when I say that is nothing. Thankfully, from a go, it actually feels relatively nippy, and it is a very responsive engine when you put your foot down. Now, as you might have noticed with my 2 hands on the wheel, this is an automatic, and it's a 4-speed automatic, and that sends power to the rear wheels in 2-wheel drive mode. And despite expecting nothing from this transmission, it's all right. It delivers power pretty decently, as I said. It's relatively responsive when you do put your foot down, you want to upshift, though you can definitely feel it going through the gears to find the right one. Not that it should take very long. I would not get the automatic though. I would absolutely get the manual because it is just faster. The 0 to 100 or 0 to 62 miles an hour is around about, well, 15 seconds in the auto, and if you get the manual, it's just 12 seconds. Not very good anyway, but still better. And by the way, the Jimny weighs 1.1 tons. It's about 20 kilos lighter if you get the manual. It doesn't make that much of a difference. It really is just how it delivers that power. In terms of suspension, it is decently well tuned. There is loads and loads of waft and body roll, but it's not too bad. Certainly a lot better than I was expecting. I feel really comfortable pretty much no matter the surface, and that's not easy to achieve. In terms of handling, there is loads and loads of body roll. It's pretty unnerving. Oh, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, it's not that great. But it never was meant to be, was it? This is a four-wheel drive. It is a body-on-frame SUV. What do you expect? And it actually gives a little bit of character. It means you are a lot more involved in day-to-day driving the Jimny. In terms of fuel economy, I'm getting 7.9 litres per 100 kilometers, which is actually pretty decent. Of course, you do have to thrash this engine to get anything out of it, so I'm relatively impressed. So the question that's probably on your mind is the Suzuki Jimny worth it? Well, as I said earlier, there is a 12 to 18 month wait for a Suzuki Jimny. So if you go into a dealership right now, they will say, sorry, give it 12 months. The Suzuki Jimny starts in the manual, guys, for 31,000 Australian dollars drive away. This auto here with the metallic paint, you'll be looking somewhere just above 33,000 Australian dollars. Now, that is a bargain. Absolutely, I can recommend it for that price. I do not recommend, though, paying the scalped 40, 42, 45,000 Australian dollars that people are trying to squeeze out of you and manipulate you to buy. Don't do that. Paying a little bit over sticker because supply is low, demand is high, that makes sense, that's economics. Paying 40-something thousand dollars for this car is not worth it. If you want a Suzuki Jimny, which you probably do, because I certainly do, well, go into a dealership and wait 12 to 18 months. It could be even less than that. But do it so you're not paying stupid prices that are just unfair. So in summary, absolutely the Suzuki Jimny is worth every goddamn cent. And at the end of the day, it'll be worth that way. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please do go down there and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you around, and click the like button down there too, please. Really helps small content creators like me. Click over there if you want to watch my Suzuki Swift Sport review, which shares a lot with the Jimny, and I highly recommend you watch that. But otherwise, thank you again, and I will see you next week.